Picture trying to fall asleep on a stifling summer night with nothing but a wet sheet to cool you down, or shaping your whole day around where the sun happened to be. For most of history, that wasn't a hypothetical, it was just how life worked. Long before central air became something every household expected, people leaned on smart design, shared habits, and plain resourcefulness to get through the heat. Here are 10 methods people used to keep cool before AC took over.
Homes designed to breathe. Before there was any dial to turn, the house itself was the first defense against summer heat. Builders in the 1800s and early 1900s used passive cooling tricks that a lot of modern construction has forgotten. Ceilings were built unusually tall, since warm air rises, and this pushed the worst of the heat well above where people actually lived. Windows were large and set on facing walls, so a breeze could travel straight through a room. Many houses also had transoms, small hinged windows sitting above doorways that let hot air escape from closed-off rooms and kept air moving through the whole structure. The building wasn't passive, it was doing real work to keep its occupants comfortable. Many homeowners also planted large shade trees around the house, especially on the western side, where the afternoon sun was strongest. Deep roof overhangs and shutters kept direct sunlight from pouring through the windows. Together, these simple architectural choices could make the inside of a home feel noticeably cooler without using a single watt of electricity. It was proof that thoughtful design often worked better than expensive technology.
The front porch as command center. These days, a porch is mostly decoration, but back then it was arguably the most used room in the house all summer. It offered shaded relief from stale, overheated interiors, and it doubled as the neighborhood's social hub. Evenings meant rocking chairs full of neighbors trading stories, sipping iced tea, and catching up on local news. Kids played there, adults read there, and whole families ate dinner there. Once air conditioning and television arrived, that ritual faded. People retreated indoors into cooled private living rooms instead. The porch also became the perfect place to catch whatever breeze happened to be blowing that evening. As the sun dipped below the horizon, temperatures slowly fell, making outdoor living far more comfortable than staying inside a house that had absorbed heat all day. In many communities, nearly everyone could be found outside after sunset, turning ordinary summer evenings into lively neighborhood gatherings.
Sleeping porches for brutal nights. Some households pushed the porch idea further and built a sleeping porch, a screened balcony or porch, usually upstairs, made just for warm weather nights. Upstairs bedrooms without AC could turn into ovens after a day of trapped heat, so families hauled their mattresses out to sleep where the night air could actually reach them, mosquito-free. This was standard practice from roughly the 1880s to the 1940s, and people believed the fresh air circulation wasn't just refreshing, but genuinely healthy, thought to help ward off illnesses such as tuberculosis. Drifting off to crickets and a light breeze was simply part of summer. Children often looked forward to sleeping porch season because it felt like camping without leaving home. Falling asleep under the stars, listening to distant trains, insects, and rustling trees created memories that lasted a lifetime. While the arrangement might seem unusual today, for many families it was simply the coolest bedroom they had.
Fans, boosted with ice and water. For homes with electricity, the fan was a game changer. Invented in the 1880s, fans didn't become common household items until the 1920s and 30s. But blowing warm air around only went so far, so people improvised. One trick was setting a block of ice or a bowl of ice water right in the fan's path. The airflow crossing the ice sent chilled, misty air through the room, an early stand-in for real air conditioning. Another approach hung wet sheets across windows or fans, using evaporation itself to pull the temperature down as the moisture dried out. Families became surprisingly creative with these homemade cooling tricks. Some rotated frozen bottles of water in front of the fan throughout the day, while others sprinkled cool water onto curtains, so every breeze entering through an open window felt noticeably fresher. These solutions were temporary, but on the hottest afternoons, they could make a real difference.
The Iceman and his deliveries. Before electric refrigerators took over homes in the 1940s and 50s, keeping food fresh meant relying on an icebox, and that meant regular visits from the Iceman, who carried heavy blocks of ice using iron tongs, sometimes balanced on a shoulder pad. Ice wasn't just for the kitchen. On especially brutal days, kids would run out to the ice truck, hoping for a few chips to suck on. At home, ice went into cold drinks and got paired with fans for makeshift cooling. That whole trade, once a routine fixture of daily life, disappeared almost overnight once modern refrigeration and air conditioning spread. The arrival of the Iceman was an expected part of neighborhood life. Families planned around delivery days because the size of the ice block determined how long their food would stay cold. During especially hot weeks, the ice melted faster than usual, meaning extra deliveries and an even greater appreciation for every precious chunk.
Swamp coolers in dry climates. In the arid Southwest, a different cooling method took hold in the 1930s, the evaporative cooler, better known as the swamp cooler. It was a breakthrough for places where the air ran hot but stayed dry. The device pools hot, dry air through pads soaked in water. As that water evaporates, it cools the air significantly before it's pushed into the house. It didn't work in humid regions, but across Arizona, New Mexico, and similar areas, it was a lifesaver, making the desert genuinely livable and offering an affordable mechanical option well before refrigerant-based AC caught on locally. Even today, plenty of homes in dry climates still use evaporative coolers because they're inexpensive to operate and consume much less electricity than traditional air conditioners. It's one of the few old cooling technologies that never completely disappeared, proving that sometimes the simplest ideas remain the most practical. Dressing for the heat, not against it. Summer clothing back then was built around one goal, staying as breathable and cool as possible. Cotton, linen, and seersucker were go-to fabrics because they let air move and didn't hold on to heat or sweat. Men wore light-colored suits made from these materials, and at home, many skipped the shirt entirely or wore just a thin cotton undershirt. Women favored loose, sleeveless cotton dresses. Kids wore almost nothing, shorts or a sunsuit, and usually went barefoot. Heavy synthetic fabric or anything tight-fitting simply wasn't an option in summer weather. People also relied on wide-brimmed hats, parasols, and lightweight gloves whenever they had to spend long hours outside. Light-colored clothing reflected sunlight rather than absorbing it, making a noticeable difference during long walks or outdoor work. Comfort always came before fashion trends during the hottest months. Living on the sun's schedule, daily routines bent around the heat. People avoided anything strenuous during the hottest stretch of the day, generally noon to 4 p.m., often using that window for a siesta or quiet rest in the coolest part of the house. Farmers and outdoor workers began at sunrise, paused through the afternoon, and wrapped up their tasks once the evening cooled off. Heat-generating chores like baking, canning, or ironing got done early in the morning while it was still tolerable. This wasn't just a preference, it was a genuine survival tactic that saved energy and helped avoid heat exhaustion. Instead of expecting technology to overcome nature, people adjusted their lives to work with it. Shops often opened earlier, family meals happened at cooler hours, and evenings stayed active long after sunset. The rhythm of daily life naturally followed the changing temperature throughout the day. Public spaces as cool air refuges. As homes stayed hot, public venues started offering relief. Movie theaters and big department stores were among the first to install refrigerated air in the 1920s and 30s, and they marketed the novelty heavily, successfully. On a scorching afternoon, a trip to the movies was as much about the cold, dark theater as it was about the film. Malls and department stores became popular for browsing too, since shoppers could window shop in comfort thanks to free air conditioning, which reshaped how people spent their summer days. Businesses quickly realized that cool air attracted customers who might stay longer and spend more money. Some people admitted they had no intention of buying anything. They simply wandered through air-conditioned stores to escape the heat for an hour or two. It marked the beginning of air conditioning becoming not just a luxury, but an expected part of everyday public life. Water shared freely by the whole neighborhood. For kids, summer heat meant an excuse for group water play. It was completely normal to see a whole block of children running through sprinklers, or in cities, gathered around an open fire hydrant, blasting water down the street, briefly turning it into a makeshift water park. Swimming in a nearby creek, river, or lake was another summer staple. None of it needed technology, just shared space and community. Popsicles melted before anyone could finish them, lemonade stands sprang up everywhere, and finding relief from the heat became something people did together. For adults, the same spirit of community often meant gathering under large shade trees, sharing cold drinks, and waiting together for the evening breeze to arrive. Summer was uncomfortable, but it also encouraged neighbors to spend more time together than many people do today.
Without air-conditioned homes keeping everyone inside, the entire neighborhood became an extension of the living room.
So, if air conditioning didn't exist, how would you handle the summer heat? Let us know your go-to method in the comments. If you enjoyed this trip into the past, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next look at the forgotten inventions, vintage traditions, and everyday features that shaped life in the past. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.